Hi lovelies, welcome back to another interesting tutorial. So today we're going to learn how to cut and sew a fitted female pant just like the one I have on here. This is a very easy and beginner friendly tutorial, so ensure to watch to the end. Subscribe if you haven't already and turn on notification bell so you get notified each time I post a video. So guys, here's the fabric I'll be using for this tutorial. This is the crepe fabric. There's one thing, if you're making fitted pants like this, you should consider fabrics that have a bit of stretch to them. Ankara would not give you this kind of fit. It could still give you that look, but you would not be comfortable sitting and bending properly in it because it is not stretchy. But crepe and other stretchy fabrics would work just fine. So ensure to put that into consideration while choosing a fabric for fitted pants. With that being said, let's head straight to the work table. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into two to drape the front part of this pant, and to know how wide you're going to be folding this, you're going to take your round thigh measurement, which should be taken around the widest part of your thigh. The first thing I'm going to do is to draw a straight line here which will serve as the waist of this pant, and from that line you're going to measure down to your crotch length. I have a detailed tutorial on how to get the crotch length accurately in case you find that challenging. I'll be leaving it down in the description box, so do well to check it out. After marking the crotch length, the next line to mark is the length of this pant. You have to be generous with the length of your pant, guys, if you want to have that flattering look. I always make use of between 42 to 45 inches. It could be more than that if you are very tall. So once you've considered the length, you go ahead and mark it here. For me, I'm making use of 44 inches. So now we have 3 lines here for our vertical measurement. Let's go ahead and draft the horizontal measurement. Coming over to this crotch line here, I'm going to be marking my hip measurement divided by 4. I'll also be marking that on the waistline as well, and then I'll connect together to form a straight line like this. Still on that crotch line, I'm going to be marking the round thigh measurement. Remember I said that you should take the widest part of your thigh. Whatever you have, you're going to divide that into 2 and you're going to mark that on this crotch line. And then you connect together like this to form the crotch curve. Coming over to this top part here, which is the waistline, I'm just going to take the measurement of what I have there. I'm not going to be taking my waist measurement at this point. I'll be doing that while I sew. So I'm just checking what I have there to be sure that it's going to be enough for my waist, which is actually going to be, because that is your hip measurements marked there. Except if there's a minimal difference between your waist and hip, but if there's a significant difference, you should mark 1 inch by the side of this pant to give it that female curve we usually have on the pants of a trouser. We're still going to be altering this to fit the waist while we sew, but for now we're just going to leave it like this. So from the side here, you're going to go in by 1 inch and you're going to curve it down to meet the side of the pant along the hip line. So I'm just measuring down because the hip line is about 9 inches from the waist, so I'm just curving it down to meet that point like this. For the inseam, which is the inner part of the leg, you can decide to mark your thigh measurement all the way down to the hem if you really want it to be wide, but if you just want a straight fit, you can make use of your hip measurement. For me, I'm marking my hip measurement all the way down to the hem, just like this, and I'll connect my lines together. The next thing now is to curve this part here to fit into the leg of the pant, just the way you see me do here. So guys, this is basically it for drafting this pant. You can go ahead and cut everything out accordingly. By the time you get to the side of the pant here, you're going to be opening up this part so that you can have 2 sides for the front piece. Moving forward, I'll be going ahead to draft the back pattern for this pant, and I went ahead to introduce a fresh fabric which is about 2 to 3 inches wider than the front piece. I've gone ahead to draw a straight line here which will serve as the waist, and underneath that waistline there, I'll be dropping it by 1 inch and I'll be drawing another line parallel to the first line. Coming over to the side of the pant here, I'll be marking 2 inches from the waist to the hem of this pant. And after that, I'll bring over the front piece which we just drafted and place it on top of this back piece, just after the 2-inch point we marked by the side and underneath the second line we marked at the top there. The aim of placing it like this is so that we can have 2 inches allowance for the back piece. But remember that we curved the waistline of the front piece by the side here. So after placing it like this, it's no longer 2 inches. I'm just going ahead to ensure that I also have 2 inches along that point. I'll also be adjusting the waistline here to create the back waist, and from the point of the crotch here, I'll be going in by 1 inch, and I'll extend that line to meet the first line we have there. That is to create the back rise of the pants. And from that top line, I'll be drawing a slant line to meet the side of the waist, just like this. I'm just basically highlighting the lines for the back so that you can see the difference between the front and the back. Ensure to also mark the length of this pant, and that is basically it for this back piece. Let's go ahead and cut out. Let me take this closer so that you can see how I'm cutting this top part. I'm going to first of all cut along this side curve here and along this waist here. I'll also be opening the side here because we need 2 pieces for the back piece. Now when I get to this crotch area, I'll be raising up the front piece and I'll be adjusting the crotch to meet that line we have extended to create the back rise, just like this, and then I'll cut this out accordingly. And that is it. We're basically done for the back piece. I'll take away this front piece and you can see that I have 2 pieces for the back. We'll go ahead and bring back the front piece because we'll be creating the front slant for the waist of this pant. To do that, from the top of this waistline here, I'll be coming down by 1 inch, after which I'll draw a slant line to meet the side waist, just like you see me do here. Then I'm going to cut this out accordingly. After doing that, I'm going to be placing the 2 patterns together, both the front and the back, so that you can see the difference. You can see that the back piece is wider than the front piece, and the back has a back crotch rise, while the front piece has a front slant at the crotch there. This is the full view of the pants. It's very straightforward. This is just the way you draft your fitted pants. Now to sew this together, I'll be placing my patterns together like this, and I'll be sewing from this crotch curve from the waist down to the end like this. I'll do same thing for the back piece as well, sew all around the crotch curve. I also went ahead to cut a waistband that is long enough to accommodate my waist plus allowance. This waistband is folded into 2, and on fold it is 2 inches, so that by the time I attach it to this band, it will end up being 1.5 inches. I also ironed hairstay interfacing on it to give it some sort of solidity, and you can see that white thing inside there. That is hemming gum. I like to put hemming gum in between my waistband so that it can hold it in place and to avoid stretch when sewing on my pants. So this is basically it. After joining my pieces together at this crotch area, this is what I have. This is the front piece. I also did the same thing for the back piece, joined together at this crotch area with 1/2 inch. The next thing I'm going to do now is to sew a dart on this back piece, and this is my back piece on the table right now. I'm going to be marking my bust pan measurement along the side. So from the middle crotch there, I'm going to be marking out my usual bust pan measurement divided by 2, and the length of my dart is 5 inches. Now I'm ensuring that I'm marking that on both sides of this trouser piece. At this side as well, I'm going to mark my bust pan measurement divided by 2, and then I'm going to mark the length of 5 inches. So I'm just going to take this over to the machine, and I'm going to be holding it along this line which I've just marked here, and I'll be sewing a 1/2 inch slant from the waist there down to the length of the dart, just the way you sew your normal dart. After sewing down my dart, this is what it looks like. By the time I turn this to the right side and give it a good press, this is what it should look like. Okay, so the next thing now, I'm going to bring over my front piece, and you can see that my back piece is placed right side facing up. I'm going to bring over my front piece as well and place it right sides facing each other, and I'm going to be aligning them along this inseam. That's the inner leg of the trouser, making sure that my crotch lines are aligning. After I'm okay with my arrangement, I'm just going to sew from this crotch line here down to one leg of my trouser piece. I also come back again to this crotch line here and sew from there down to the other leg, ensuring that I'm sewing down to the hem of this trouser. So now I'm going to show you how to sew the sides of this pants, because you know we did not cut out our exact waist measurement when we're drafting. The first thing I'm going to do is to measure what I have along this waistline. So measuring here, I have 18 inches for this back piece. I'll also measure what I have on the waist of the front as well, and here I have 18 inches. What I'm going to do is to add together both 18 inches, which in total will give me 36 inches. Now my actual waist measurement is 32 inches. What I'm going to do is to subtract that 32 inches, which is my actual waist measurement, from 36 inches, which is the total measurement we have measured on both the front and the back waist. After subtracting, 36 minus 32 would give me 4 inches. What I'm then going to do is to divide that into 4, because I have 4 sides to sew on. So when I divide that 4 inches into 4, I'm going to have 1 inch. So that means that I am going to use 1 inch to sew on both sides of my pants. I'm also going to do the same thing for the hip, so that I can know how many inches I'm going to be sewing with. I'm going to measure what I have on both the front and the back hip line, and for the front here I have 21 inches. For the back here I have 25 inches. So I'm going to add that together, which is going to give me 46 inches. My actual hip line is 42. I'm going to subtract 42 from that 46 inches, giving me 4 as well. I'm then going to divide that into 4, because I have 4 sides to join together. So by the time I divide 4 by 4, I'm going to have 1 inch. So that basically means that on this hip line as well, the sewing allowance should be 1 inch. I'm going to sew with a 1 inch seam allowance at the waist, at the hip, all down to the hem of this pant. Also, we're going to be adding a zipper to the left side of this pant. So from the top there, which is the waistline, I'm going to measure down 8 inches, and I'm going to start sewing just after the 8-inch point. That's because we're going to be leaving an opening there so that we can fix a zipper at the top waist. So just after the 8-inch point, you're going to sew with a 1 inch seam allowance from there all the way to the hem of this pant. After stitching down on my machine, this is what we have. You can see that on one side here I have it sewn from the waist all down to the hem, but at this other side here I have an opening here which will serve as the zipper allowance. You can see that I also went ahead to sew the inner leg of this pant all the way around. Moving forward, the next thing is to fix the waistband, and this is the waistband we had initially cut. I'm going to turn over my fabric to the right side. After that, I'm going to bring over the waistband and align them at the waistline here. You can see the way I'm placing this. The open side of my waistband is going to be aligned to the waistline of my trouser, and I'm going to be stitching down with 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. So the trick is, while sewing, ensure that you are not pulling your waistband, you are not pulling your fabric. You are just sewing it as it is, so that after sewing you're not going to have any puckering. Everything is going to sit nicely. I've done just that. I've gone ahead to weave it all the way around to give it a nice finish. So the next thing now is to fix the zipper, and this is the zipper we attach on this pant. Now before I fix that, I'm going to be measuring what I have on this waistline here. You're just going to measure from one end to the other, and whatever you have, you're going to be subtracting your actual waist measurement from it. Whatever you get, you're going to divide that into 2, because you know you're working on just 2 sides. Now after dividing, you're going to use whatever you have as your seam allowance to attach your zip. Okay, so the final thing I'll be doing on this pant is to hem the down, and to do that you're just going to fold it into 2 like this. You're going to be folding it depending on the length you want your pant to be, so go ahead and fold it accordingly. Okay, so that is it for sewing up this pant. After stitching and joining everything together, this is what the trouser looks like. You can see how beautiful this is. I hope you'll be trying this out, and let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel at this point, please do so. Give this video a thumbs up, share it to your friends who you think might find it helpful, and see you in my next tutorial. Bye.